A very good day to everyone who comes across this presentation. My name is Akshat, and as a part of a course called Public Speaking at my institute, today I'm going to present on the topic Focus on Competition has always been a formula for mediocrity. I have two aspects to share with you. I'll start with story. The story of two students, Sheldon and Joey. A very brief background about these. Sheldon was born in a family of five. He had two sisters. Initially, he was admitted into a state board school, and since he excelled in academics in that school, his desire to join one of the top schools in the country led him to giving an entrance exam. And he cleared that exam and joined the school of his choice. He excelled at football, he was always a team player, and he always had a curiosity to learn from his peers, be it in academics or be it in sports. And as I mentioned, he was very good in academics. Talking about Joey, he was a single child. Right from the start, he was admitted to the school of his choice. He was privileged enough for that. He excelled at sport boxing. He preferred to read alone. He did not like to study in groups and never really cared about what other people did. And he also, just like Sheldon, excelled in academics. Now, both of these students were in 11th grade, and in the pursuit of pursuing undergrad from one of the top colleges in the country, they both decided to join a coaching institute. And once they joined, during the initial phases, both of them excelled. Since they had good understanding of the basics, they did very well, and in all the exams they finished either first or second. So there was a very tight competition, and alternately they finished either first or second. Then they continued topping the charts. 6 months into their preparation phase, a new student joins in, Barney. Now, Barney is a student from a different school, and right from the start, when he joined in, he started defeating these two in the tests. And in the next few tests, Barney always topped the exams, which left Sheldon and Joey with lots to ponder. Because they had never had such competition, their reaction to a new student defeating them week in, week out left them with lots to ponder. So, now how did these two react? Sheldon wanted to learn how Barney solved certain questions which he wasn't able to solve and which were his weaknesses, and tried to improve his scores with Barney. However, contrary to this, Joey's reaction was different. He could not believe the fact that he wasn't able to top the charts, and new student who had come out of nowhere was defeating them every week. And he continued to be upset with himself, and this led to further deterioration of his scores. So what happened was Sheldon continuously tried to understand his weaknesses and tried to learn from Barney, whereas Joey was very confused within himself as to why he wasn't able to top the charts rather than working on his weaknesses. So when the final results of the exams came out, Barney and Sheldon were able to clear these exams with an All India rank of 13 and 18, whereas Joey was not able to get the college of his dreams when he was capable of doing so. Now, why I'm sharing this story is because this is an actual real life story that I've seen some of my friends face. And since then, that it is not competition, but it is your response to competition that determines whether you succeed or fail. So, this was one of the aspects of competition at an individual level. The other aspect, which I feel which a lot of us tend to ignore, what really are we competing for? Now, the story which I shared was of academics, but think about it in any aspect of life, whether you're working, whether you're playing, we always compete for the mediocrity. And even if we are the best in that competition and we win that competition, all we're going to achieve is mediocrity. Tim Ferriss very rightly mentions that it's lonely at the top. 99% of people are convinced that they are incapable of achieving great things, so they aim for mediocre. The level of competition is thus fiercest for realistic goals, paradoxically making them the most competitive. What happens is that all around us there is an environment that is trying to pull us down to second class street, and what happens is that we are bound by those thoughts and we grow up believing that there are certain things which we cannot achieve, and hence we'll have to compete for certain other things. And once we achieve that, we only achieve the mediocre. And that's been a huge issue with respect to how we as individuals compete. And most people, even in that mediocre competition, are only concerned about beating the other guy, usually through manipulation or politics. And they're just fighting for scraps with the 99%. So, what I'm trying to say is that individuals always compete where there are masses, and we rarely try and do something which is outside of our comfort zones, however cliched as it might sound. So, for example, if I say that even though my fitness is not that great, I am targeting to complete the Ironman this year, most of them will advise me against it, saying it's physically and mentally almost impossible for you to complete the Ironman. However, 99% of those people have not even participated in the Ironman to understand whether it's actually possible or not. It's similar to any impossible goal in our mind, that we tend to constrict ourselves rather than trying to achieve that goal by just starting the preparation phase and going out of our comfort zone. And it becomes a lifestyle, and we tend to then ignore the bigger dreams that we have just because we think that it is not possible. Why? Because other people are saying so. So, what exactly should we compete for? Uber entrepreneur Darren Hardy once remarked that he's always glad when something is difficult because that means people won't ever do it and the competition will always be low. And we've seen that at the top, the competition is always low about doing things that require a lot from you. And he says that we should prioritize learning and self education. And for every day you read a book, millions of others don't. For every morning you wake up and follow your dreams, a lot of people don't. And for every day you keep going, billions of others quit. As cliched as it might sound, it is very important to compete at such a level so that you are able to achieve your largest of dreams, which is actually possible if we just step out of the comfort zone that we are living in. However, what we do daily is that the fiercest competition is for the second class prizes. So these two aspects I really wanted to highlight. One of them is your response to competition, and the other is, are we actually competing for the right thing? Now, this was at an individual level, is happening in business and management. So I'm not going to focus much on the conventional methods of competition till date. It has always been firms reacting or not reacting, which has led to either their success or failures. And it is, to be really honest, it has been quite one-dimensional, this competition. However, over the next few decades, I came across an article from BCG, and it's the competition, the dimensions of competition are going to change so much, and that is going to be the third aspect that I'm going to discuss. This is going to be the new logic of competition in business. Competition is going to happen at five different levels. It is going to be on the rate of learning. It is going to be competing in ecosystems. It is going to be competing in a hybrid digital plus physical world. It is going to be competing on imagination, and it is going to be competing on resilience. What I mean with all things is that when I talk about rate of learning, it includes pursuing an agenda that embraces all models of technology relevant to learning and developing models that are able to create and act on personalized customer insights. So it's going to be very important to understand what every customer wants and to adapt that and learn from that and then finally come out with your model is going to be very important. The other thing is competing in ecosystems. It is going to be extremely crucial to determine what role your business or firm can play in what ecosystems, and it is going to be how you ensure that your company creates value for the ecosystem broadly and not just for itself. It's going to be very important for the future. Now, competing in the physical and digital world is a third aspect. It is going to build strong relationships with actors on both sides, whether they are customers or suppliers, and firms will have to rethink business models in order to win the battle for new hybrid markets. On imagination, the firms will have to focus on anomalies, accidents, analogies rather than just averages. They'll have to have employees who can spark inspiration, and they'll have to become a playful corporation that is able to effortlessly explore new possibilities because there's going to be tons of them. On resilience, firms will have to prepare for a range of scenarios and ensure that their strategy is robust, risks are survivable, and the organization is adaptive to new circumstances by constantly experimenting to identify new options. And I've taken this from an article, and it's extremely important for business people to understand the layers of competition that is going to up in the next decade. Finally, in conclusion, I've focused on three aspects, two at the individual level and one at the firm level. At the individual level, I firmly believe with a real life example that it is your response to competition that determines how you're going to succeed or fail. Also, the second thing which I focused on was in the business aspect, which was there are going to be multiple layers of competition that are going to happen. And finally, I'm a firm believer that you should decide where you want to compete, and that's going to be very important. And that's all of these three factors at your individual level and the corporate level are going to determine whether you're going to stay mediocre or whether you're going to be successful. Thank you so much for giving your time for this presentation.